comes from the abyss, with a taste, it is said, for human flesh. Grasping arms and tentacles attached to an uncanny alien intelligence. Flashing in a code we cannot decipher, they are sea monsters with grim appetites.
Devoured on the way up. Cannibals. That's scary.
We know almost nothing about them.
They're about as alien as anything we can find in our world.
But now, an obsessed scientist and an intrepid cameraman team up to grapple with the mysteries of the creature known as the Red Devil. The sea, majestic, powerful, and utterly without pity. It has always demanded uncommon nerve on the part of those who would take on the open ocean in all its fury. Dreadful as the ocean's surface may be, through the ages, seafaring men have reserved a special kind of terror for what lies beneath. Homer told of the tentacled Scylla that ate Odysseus's men. Melville wrote of a vast pulpy mass, innumerable long arms radiating from its center, curling and twisting like a nest of anacondas. For Scandinavian sailors, the beast of beasts was called the kraken, a cunning monster that could drag men and ships down to watery graves. Many of the creatures thought to have inspired such myths have turned out to be shy and harmless. But one living kraken has a reputation so fearsome that few would dare join it in the depths. This man is one of the few. Underwater cameraman Bob Cranston has spent more time than anyone else in the world at depth with the Humboldt or jumbo squid, also known as the Red Devil.
These squid are something that has been left undone. It's been left undone by other cameramen because they're hard. This is really hard to do. You're out in the middle of the ocean at night, swimming around with a bunch of stuff all over you, and it's a big ocean.
To join the devil in its lair, Bob will descend to dangerous depths, with no quick route to the surface if there's trouble. His quarry is elusive and intimidating, a beast that can reach 6 feet long. Equipped with powerful arms and a sharp beak for tearing flesh, it has a bloodthirsty reputation. They look small and shy at this distance, but Bob knows they are not.
These squid can be fairly aggressive. They're a major predator in this area. And my dive buddy kind of thought that was interesting, so he let the squid grab a hold of him. Next thing he knew, he had 5 squid attached all over him and pulling him down into the depths. And they were working on taking his mask off of him. He came up with big welts and scrapes all around his neck.
At first, the squid seem wary of the lights. But then curiosity gets the better of them. Soon, Bob is surrounded, and the squid grow bolder. A large one moves in to check him out. Bob risks a close encounter with the alien being, engaging it in a game that is not for the faint of heart.
When these squid come up and sample me, I want them to know that I'm down here and I'm big and I'm bad, and if they want to try and take me, they're going to have a fight on their hands. I believe if you do not push them off, there'll be a bunch of them on you in no time.
The jumbo squid can rapidly change its skin color back and forth between red and white, appearing to flash on and off. It's apparently a communication system, but it is, like most of the creature's life, a mystery to us. Evidently curious, exquisitely designed, the jumbo squid spends most of its time in inaccessible realms, and Bob's images represent a major breakthrough. Much of this behavior has never been seen before. These jumbo squid, also known as Humboldt squid, are among the least studied of a group of marine invertebrates called cephalopods. Cephalopod means head foot, and the squid's cousin, the octopus, illustrates why. Emerging directly from its head are 8 powerful arms. It is surprisingly intelligent and a master of disguise. Another relative of the squid and the octopus is the cuttlefish. Like the octopus, it is capable of brilliant displays and cunning camouflage, and also has a large and sophisticated brain. But while the octopus and the cuttlefish are typically denizens of reefs or the sea floor, the Humboldt squid is an ocean-going voyager of extraordinary grace and elegance. To scientists, they are more like ghosts than devils, appearing unpredictably, sometimes vanishing for years at a time, descending so deep and moving so quickly that they are difficult to study in the wild. They, too, seem to demonstrate the strange intelligence of their cousins. But to quantify intelligence in such a peculiar creature is almost impossible.
Humboldts and humans would be alike in kind of obvious ways. They both have big brains that analyze a lot of sensory information and make them behave in complex ways. I would really like to know where these squid go and what attracts them to certain areas. They're highly intelligent organisms, and as a neuroscientist, I'd like to know more about their behavior in the wild.
Dr. Bill Gilley, a neurobiologist at Hopkins Marine Station in Pacific Grove, California, has studied squid for more than 2 decades. He has volunteered to take part in a study of the jumbo squid's movements in the Pacific Ocean.
A scary squid.
Hey, is he still alive? Yeah, he's really lively.
Yeah, keep away from his tentacles.
Red devils don't live for more than a few days in the lab, so Gilley keeps a pickled specimen for the edification of graduate students. This one doesn't approach the size limit for these animals, but its giant arms with toothed suckers are guaranteed to impress.
Rings with those big teeth.
I certainly wouldn't want to mess with this one.
Tagging these things
As part of a study of large open ocean animals, Gilly hopes to capture and tag 1,000 jumbo squid, release them, and see where they turn up.
That's for sure. We should probably be able to do this in 30, 40 seconds if we really get it down. We have 1,000 times to practice.
It's true.
The elusive red devil of myth and legend haunts the Pacific coast, ranging as far north as Oregon and as far south as Chile, then disappearing. Right now, large numbers of the squid are appearing near Santa Rosalia, Mexico. The squid fishermen here are called pangueros, after their small boats called pangas. It is a risky way to make a living. Sometimes the squid are absent for years at a time, and when they're around, the creatures are powerful and difficult to handle.
The squids are red devils.
Every day when I go out for the squids, I have to be careful because they are dangerous.
They are carnivorous. If you fall into the water, you'll be eaten. And they eat each other too.
Whatever its reputation, the people of Santa Rosalia have come to depend on the squid. It is the primary livelihood for many. Here, fathers and sons work side by side, jigging for squid and acquiring a hard-won knowledge of the creature. Gilly has joined the pangueros of Santa Rosalia, keen to delve into the local wisdom about the mysterious squid.
Being a fisherman myself, I find that the fishermen know an awful lot about the biology of these species they target for catching, and you can save an awful lot of time reinventing the wheel by just talking to them and getting some leads.
Unai Marcaida, a leading expert on jumbo squid biology, is teaming up with Gilly and sharing in the glamour of field research.
Back in the old days in the Yale Medical School, physiology department, I never thought I'd be a deckhand on a panga in the Sea of Cortez, bailing out squid ink. Glad times have changed.
Gilly's plan is as ambitious as it is messy. He wants to get tags on 1,000 heavy, squirming, ink-spraying squid. It's thought that these squid will migrate across the Gulf of California to the coast of the mainland in a few months. Gilly hopes the mainland fishermen will find some of the squid he tagged in Santa Rosalia. Adult jumbo squid show a surprising range in sizes, and no one knows exactly why.
The Humboldt squid would grow from a few millimeters hatchling size to the size approaching a human adult in a year.
Hasta la vista, baby! Being there in a 12-foot boat, feeling this incredible power on the fishing line, seeing its head come up out of the water and the arms open and a big blast of water come out, I suppose I felt like it was the kraken itself. Wow. Hippopotamus! That's a lot of inches.
It's back-breaking work at a breathtaking pace. Gilly and the fishermen will tag more than 150 squid a day for a week.
Index finger, it's got it on there, it's just chewing into it, I can feel it. Look at a mean-looking beak, trying to bite me, actually. Wow. I actually had my finger in the middle of that, I can't believe it's still on my hand. These big females are pretty feisty. A fish shredding machine right there.
A flash of apparent irritation, a good-ridden squirt of ink, and the animal disappears into the abyss. Squid ink provides cover for a hasty escape. It contains melanin, the same dark pigment that tans human skin. It's hard to tell if a squid is coming or going. Its head, featuring giant eyes, is in the middle of its body. The eyes can be twice as large as a human's. 8 arms and 2 tentacles surround a voracious mouth containing a sharp, parrot-like beak. The bulk of the creature is the mantle, a thick muscular cloak that protects the squid's internal organs and propels water out through the funnel. The funnel can jet propel the squid at more than 3 times the top speed of an Olympic swimmer. 2 triangular fins attached to the mantle are used for swimming and hovering. It is an elegant design, and it houses a brain that is huge by invertebrate standards. For Gilly, as days and nights of tagging bleed into one another, the subject of his scientific study begins to take on a different dimension.
Like, it came when I saw one dying on the floor of a boat that we were tagging, and the squid had been cannibalized by other ones coming up, and as it lay there on the bottom of the boat dying with its color changes, sort of as its brain kind of slowly became uncoordinated, it just made me really sad. I'm not sure why, but it's probably just something about the size of this animal, its big eyes looking right at me, and makes you feel made me feel something that I really hadn't consciously felt before.
Okay, every squid is important.
But while Gilly is gaining an appreciation for his squid, he's also discovering the creatures have an unnerving habit. Jumbo squid are unabashed cannibals, at least when it comes to any comrade caught on the fisherman's jig. Scientists don't know what elicits this terrible hunger, but the red devils seem to relish any flesh, including the flesh of their own kind.
Humboldt squid are opportunistic shredding machines. They are superbly equipped to make short work of the things they prey on.
Many of Gilly's would-be subjects arrive topside in gruesome shape.
Look at it, it's been ripped apart by other squid. See the tentacle marks? Fins off, that's been bitten. That's not ripped. This squid was grabbed by other ones on the way up on the jigs, and its whole fin was eaten away. Those are all bite marks. It wasn't just ripped off, it was devoured on the way up. They're cannibals.
Down below, the sinuous dance of death plays out. The red devil's lock in a lethal does its dreadful work. The victim expels clouds of ink, but it is doomed.
That one was eaten by something wicked, man. Even the eyes are ripped out. Still alive, its mouth's still working. I'm not putting my finger in there. These animals are aggressive even when that condition. And these animals eat each other, and anything that goes into that mouth is gone. Well,
Let's go.
Put him back. That's scary.
Even at its most ghastly, the jumbo squid is beguilingly graceful. In the end, Gilly never quite makes his goal of 1,000 squid. He falls 4 tags short. Now comes the waiting. It may be 2 months before Gilly's tagged squid cross the Gulf of California, if that's in fact where they're headed. So Gilly has returned to home turf, Monterey Bay, California. As always, he's on the trail of squid.
Hey, Tommy! Hello, Gilly.
Fisherman Tom Noto is happy to lend a hand with Gilly's studies, keeping a few squid from his catch for the scientist to take back to the lab. These are the local market squid, most destined to appear on menus as calamari, and the easiest for Gilly to study.
These are precious. Squids in general are difficult to study in the wild. They're swimming around in the ocean most of the time. Occasionally they come together in large numbers for mating or feeding, and then we can get access to them. When they're dispersed in the world's oceans, they're exceedingly difficult to find and do any kind of observations on.
These squid are not just a human favorite. The blue shark is fond of calamari as well. Squid have the largest nerve fibers in the animal kingdom. Called giant axons, they're perfect models for the neurobiologist to study. In the lab, Gilly studies cuttlefish as well as squid, and he believes that many of these creatures, boneless alien sea monsters to most of us, have remarkable capacities to learn.
So, baby squid.
Yeah, the babies.
Graduate student Stacy Novakovic is assisting with a project on squid learning. Baby squid are born to flee. They have to learn not to squirt away from their food. And if they don't learn it in the first few weeks of life, they never will.
I see the boys are ready for another meal.
If the smallest squid are in cephalopod kindergarten, the cuttlefish are doing postgraduate work.
Yeah.
Gilly is trying to teach them how to write using their bodies as blackboards.
The latest theory of getting cuttlefish to cooperate, get them used to letters in association with food. So this is kind of the classical Pavlovian conditioning. So I sort of hold the X up here for them to see, and come on, I want to see a little hint of cooperation before you guys get it. Look, here they are.
Cuttlefish love little crabs, but can they actually be educated to make X's in return for food? Cuttlefish do have complex patterning abilities that allow them to communicate and to blend into their surroundings. And with enough conditioning, Gilly thinks he may be able to coax completely new patterns out of juvenile cuttlefish, and the remarkable little creatures appear to make X's on their backs.
Whoa! That's not a bad little attempt at an X. I think I'd like to reward that.
These are just casual observations and fun ones, but for a creature closely related to the clam, it's astonishing.
Obviously, if you can teach an animal and train it to do something that it never does in nature, then the use of that system is by definition acquired or learned.
Some of Gilly's subjects are well beyond their school years.
So this is our...
Senior citizen. I think this cuttlefish is probably about a year, a little older maybe, and it's probably close to the end of her life.
This older cuttlefish seems to have lost the ability to change her coloring and patterning. Gilly thinks she may be reaching a sort of cuttlefish senility, reverting back to her most primitive pattern before dying.
She's so nice.
The cuttlefish's marvelous talent for disguise extends far beyond color. It can also take on the texture and shape of its surroundings. A few of its octopus cousins can even copy other creatures' appearance and movement. In this case, a mimic octopus impersonates a flounder. What looks like a lump of coral is magically transformed into a common octopus. The metamorphosis is almost too brief to catch. One key to the cephalopod's remarkable camouflage lies in thousands of tiny specialized organs in its skin, little sacs of pigment that expand and contract instantly on a command from the creature's complex brain. These pigment cells are called chromatophores. Cephalopods, like these cuttlefish, clearly use their patterning abilities to communicate with one another as well. Some squid can even send two messages simultaneously. Here, a male reef squid shows his seductive dark side to a female while flashing a bright back-off sign to any other males. When she moves, his colors move with her. Jumbo squid also seem to communicate by changing colors, but their light show, as yet, defies understanding. Living in the open ocean, they seem to have little need for diverse pattern, challenge, invite, confuse, or something else altogether is still unknown.
There's some kind of communication going on between the different squid because they're so intelligent, but no one really has a good feel for how they really communicate. Here's one squid on a line. Here's another flashing coming up to it. Looks as almost like they change positions or something.
At times, the squid flash in weird syncopation. Gilly can only guess what this means.
So here are the squids approaching the other one. Okay, now they're in perfect out of phase, and it makes this weird, rippling sort of hallucination. I find it very visually disturbing. If I were a whale or something trying to eat these squid, I think I'd be confused. Whether they're communicating with one another, whether they're using some kind of group flashing behavior as a confusing display to predators, we'll probably never know to the level we'd really like what these squid are doing or thinking. But whether they think or not in any way that we can even define as thinking, I don't know. But they obviously have very sophisticated behaviors.
Humboldt squid guard their secrets more closely than many cephalopods. They simply do not survive in the lab. Hoping to find clues to the Humboldt's mysteries among some of its better-known cousins, Gilly heads to the National Resource Center for Cephalopods in Galveston, Texas. Resident scientist John Forsyth leads Gilly and colleague Roger Hanlon on a tour of the facility. Fortunately, octopuses and cuttlefish seem to flourish under laboratory conditions. John proudly shows off his young cuttlefish.
They can change color, they can ink, they hunt live prey. It's amazing for me to be able to study a group of animals that continually hold me with just rapt attention. I don't know why I'm drawn to these animals, and it's been like that for 25 years, and I can't imagine studying anything else. I have this before at all. You guys are always at the window just checking out what's going on and seeing what's happening in their lab. They're like our watchdogs.
At feeding time, John becomes very popular with his cuttlefish.
We feed the cuttlefish 2 to 3 times a day at least. They have an extremely high metabolic rate. They convert almost half of what they swallow. They can convert that weight of food into cuttlefish that same day.
With only about a year to live, the cuttlefish have to get around to other matters.
The courtship behavior is going to become non-stop now. The males, that's all that's going to be on their mind, except for occasionally eating. The females will become more and more receptive, though right now they're still quite cautious. This is sort of a Muscle Beach going on. I mean, I sort of don't know, but they're really showing off. There's no doubt about it. They're strutting their stuff.
Smaller male cuttlefish don't go for the Muscle Beach approach, choosing more subtle seductions. While this big male guards a female, a small sneaker male gives him the slip by impersonating a female, taking on her coloring and posture. The mating of what looks like 2 females goes on right under the nose of the guardian male. Then the sneaker male slips off, while the big male is still warding off more obvious challengers. Sometimes the tactic backfires. Here, a female impersonator attracts the amorous, grasping attentions of a befuddled male. Perhaps the most familiar of the cephalopods is the octopus, and it's also among John's favorite subjects.
Octopuses are mesmerizing. I don't know, it's almost like the guy trying to hypnotize you the way their arms move. There's something about the eyes of these animals, too, that I think just draw human observers in, and they definitely make visual eye contact with you.
While on the prowl, the octopus makes the most of its remarkable eyes, and an unwary crab is marked for death. The jumbo squid, too, has a predator's keen eyesight, able to hunt in near total darkness. In the largest jumbo squid, the eyes can be more than twice as large as ours. But what exactly are they capable of seeing?
Neither works, really.
That's what Roger Hanlon hopes to find out. Gilly has brought a jumbo squid eye back from Santa Rosalia for Roger to dissect. Of the dozens of squid eyes the scientist has studied, none has been from a jumbo squid.
Yeah, take a look at that. That is a beautiful lens, just like ours. A little bit larger, wouldn't you say? Go in here and...
The size of the lens doesn't prepare Roger for what comes next. He opens the rest of the eyeball to get to the retina.
Here we just go. So now I can lift this piece off here and take a look at this retina. Look at this, it comes all the way up to the edge. This is amazing. So everything you see here, this black, is retina. So there are hundreds of thousands, if not more, cells in here. It's really a huge hemisphere. I mean, there are very few animals that have a retina of those dimensions. I mean, this is a lot more than we have, there's no doubt about it.
The big eye probably makes a really good image, I would imagine.
I think it does a little more than that. These animals seem to be, like the other squids, able to see in the dark.
Oh.
So the Humboldt out there in the open ocean is relying on these eyes to an extreme extent to carry out its daily activities of feeding and not being eaten, right?
Yep.
The jumbo squid's eyes may have another helpful feature. Roger has found evidence that they are sensitive to polarized light.
Show me what you mean by this simple polarized detection of fish, or enhanced detection.
Well, here's an idea of what we might see. If you take a look at this right here, this is what we or fishes or marine mammals would see because we don't see polarization.
I see a vague outline here. Show me how polarizing can
Okay, here's a simple demonstration. You're a predator like a squid that can see polarized light. It looks more like this.
Oh, wow.
High contrast, black fish against a light background or light fish against a dark background.
Neat.
So this is the way they enhance target detection. They see high contrast. And it doesn't matter if that fish is transparent or if it's a silvery reflecting fish, both of which are great methods of camouflage in the aquatic environment. The squids have found a weapon to overcome that, see their prey better.
Equipped with such extraordinary vision, the Humboldt squid becomes an important predator Gulf of California, near a place called Guaymas. One of his tags has been found, but he'll need more than one to prove that tagging is an effective way to track jumbo squid. So Gilly heads for Guaymas, offering a reward for any tags returned to him.
This is
Each.
For me? Longer, dive a little deeper, get a little more trouble. Get a little more data.
The dive won't begin until nightfall, so Bob and Gilly can have a look around the area.
Walk up here and talk to these fishermen.
Yeah.
I don't think
They decide to get the locals' take on the squid, and it's not pretty.
Lose people, you know, every other year somebody dies. I had a friend that they found floating in the ocean last year.
Squid fishermen?
Squid fishermen. But it's lucky they found him because you know they're carnivorous. They'll eat you. I mean, they will eat you.
The squid will eat you.
The squid will eat you. If you fall into the ocean, they'll get you with their tentacles. You'll drown, and then they'll, you know, all the rest of them will just eat you.
Calamar?
Food for thought, perhaps, and food for the gringos, if they ask. Although the local people themselves rarely eat the squid they catch, most of it goes to Asian markets, they're happy to give Bob and Gilly a taste.
Perfect. It's sliced really interestingly.
While Bob samples the fried squid, Gilly decides to take on some nearly raw squid mantle.
I'm having mine cooked, Bill.
It's really good.
Well,
It's really nice.
you're on your own there, pal.
Yeah.
With the afternoon growing late, it's time to get down to business.
Sure do.
Gilly and Bob have hatched a plan to get up close and personal with the Red Devils. But it's going to call for some major preparations. Bob knows from experience that it can take hours just to find the squid, possibly requiring multiple dives to 200 feet. With traditional scuba equipment, he could run out of air before seeing a single red devil.
Get ready for a night with the squid.
So Bob will be using a rebreather for the dive. The rebreather will filter out dangerous carbon dioxide from his exhaled breaths and add oxygen. It will allow him to stay under longer and go deeper, but it has its disadvantages.
With this rebreather, I can stay underwater up to 11 hours. It's pretty painful to stay underwater for 11 hours, and the maximum I want to stay underwater is about 4. The real danger is that you don't watch your gauges, you get excited about doing something, and your oxygen level goes down, 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 and then all of a sudden you pass out because there's no warning of having too little oxygen. Your vision just goes cheat, cheat, and then you...
So Bob will be using red lights and red equipment in the hopes that he'll be less intrusive to the squid. allowing him to get more natural behavior up close.
I'm going to be a red devil down there.
You might never come back. You're going to join them.
I'm not worried about the squid hurting me. I'm worried about the squid putting up a situation like pulling your mask off or pulling a rebreather hose off or something like that. That would be a really bad situation. Here we go.
The red lights may render Bob less visible to the squid, but there is another possibility. The creatures may get too close for comfort in the red light and become aggressive. Bob begins the long descent to 200 feet. It's a dangerous commitment. He'll have to spend more than an hour coming up if something goes wrong, or risk getting decompression sickness. And the 80-pound rebreather renders him less maneuverable than traditional scuba would. The first squid to swim into view seemed to take no notice of the lights, so perhaps Bob and Gilly's theory is correct. It's the surface. Bob is characteristically nonchalant.
Come and, touch me.
Yeah.
They grab a hold of the camera, I grab a hold of them, and kind of shake their
hands
hand a little bit. And they throw out their little tentacles.
But for Gilly, the tantalizing images conjure more questions than answers. He's worried about his own research. The local fishermen have been hauling in squid by the thousands, and after the first tag, nothing. The viability of the tagging project may be in jeopardy.
The bigger questions like how many there are, where they're spawning, how long they live, do they spawn more than once, do they come back to the same place and home, and there's probably about 10 other questions you can easily think of that we just don't know.
It's not just scientific curiosity that drives Gilly now. The fortunes of the fishermen he's come to know so well will rise and fall with the appearance and disappearance of the jumbo squid. And the squid do disappear, sometimes for years at a time.
The men are out fishing, the boys are helping them, they're learning to be fishermen. The women, the wives of these men, are working in the factories of packing the squid. I believe if the squid didn't show up, there would be a big problem for the people in the local economy there. They'd have to definitely adjust to that in a way that I don't know how they would do it.
Today, this processing plant runs through the night, turning sea monsters into squid fillets for shipment to Korea. The Mexican government and scientists are now working with the fishermen to protect the future of the squid fishery, but ultimately the squid boom and bust cycle is beyond their control. The fishermen are not the only ones affected by the comings and goings of the jumbo squid. In death, the once mighty squid feeds a whole host of voracious scavengers, while in life, it is a relentless hunter of many species and a food source for sharks and whales. As both predator and prey, the red devil helps shape this ecosystem by its presence, and when it disappears again, reshape it by its absence. Finally, the fisherman's grapevine brings Gilly his own treasure, a tagged squid. This is the confirmation that he's been looking for of the squid's seasonal migration across the Gulf of California. Turns out he was right to set his sights on 1,000 animals.
948.
Okay.
Okay.
In all, Gilly will collect 9 tags on the mainland, enough to show that tagging can help scientists track the elusive squid's movements. For now, the Humboldt squid's larger migrations remain baffling, and the red devil's vanishing act, like that of some ancient Americans, continues to mystify.
The Anasazi, who knows why they abandoned their cliff dwellings, but the Humboldts could be much the same way. They utilize an area for a while and move on and may come back to it again later when conditions are conducive to their survival.
Before the jumbo squid disappear again, Gilly has some unfinished business here. He has yet to meet the devil on its own turf.
I would say that I'm like a Humboldt squid to some extent, by zipping around at high speed in seemingly pointless directions at times, trying to find a mate, find food, fighting with other members of my own kind, escaping from really mean enemies. Those are Humboldt-ish things that I would share.
A fisherman has snagged a Humboldt squid for Gilly, not to tag, but simply to say hello to.
But it certainly communicated with me subconsciously at some level. It was an interesting feeling, and it's kind of haunting.
Then, Gilly pries the jig from the squid's arms, and it is free, leaving only riddles in its wake.
If there's any type of animal on this planet that we ought to be practicing to talk to extraterrestrials, it should be squid. They're about as alien as anything we can find in our world.
What, one has to wonder, are these alien creatures trying to tell us as they flash and glide like neon phantoms of the deep? Sea monsters remain as enigmatic as their mythological counterparts, denizens of a world so remote that, in the end, we are left with our imaginings.